All right, welcome back to another episode of the BET GPT Sports Gambling Podcast. This is Matt Coiner. I'm here with Austin Slade, and I guess first and foremost,
do we want to address the elephant in the room?
Yeah, we need to apologize to Brian Harmon.
Let me start. Okay. I would like to not apologize to Brian Harmon. I would like to apologize first to the JDC. If you can't see, my hand is over my heart right now. I am apologizing to the John Deere Classic. I think the top two finishers were both ex-John Deere Classic winners. Is that true?
Yeah, Sepp Straka just won a couple weeks ago, and he was tied for second with Rahm, Jason Day, and another guy. So
now I'm doing a complete 180. If you've ever won the John Deere Classic, you've got my support.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely a correlation between the JDC and the Open. You wouldn't think so, considering it's 2 weeks before and like there's a huge travel lag that you have to deal with. But hey, I mean, it's proven that if you win one, you can win.
It's like the final boss. Like if you can win that, winning on the tour is easy.
Exactly. So
we won. Pod. Go Dogs.
Exactly. So yeah, we wanted to apologize to Brian Harmon. He's moved up to top 10 in the world. He's going to be in the Ryder Cup now. Obviously, he can play in the Open Championship, I think, until the age of 60. So, he's really set up for life because of this. So, shout out to him. I was listening to his post match conference or whatever it's called for golf, post round conference, and they're like, "What are you going to do with like your winnings, or what do you plan on doing to kind of unplug?" And he's like, "I'm just going to go mow my lawn. I have 30 acres, so I'm going to get on my rider and just like focus on my lawn."
Have you seen that video of him like getting in his truck? Is he like 4 feet? Okay, wait, I can't start this. I'm pro Brian Harmon now. I can't get.
We already got.
I lasted like 10 seconds.
Back into the negative. Yeah, we got sucked back into the negative. All right, let's change the subject. Shout out Brian Harmon.
We took an L, but. Yeah. On a more positive note.
Yeah. So one of our official plays for our Golden Boot, Alex Pop for Germany in the Women's World Cup, she's actually plus 500 now. So she has the best odds out of anybody. Sophia Smith is second at plus 650. We got a Brazilian, last name Borges, plus 650. And then we got a couple of girls from Spain at 10 and 16 to 1.
And when is Germany's next game?
Germany plays this Sunday, July 30th at 5:30 a.m. So you can get up, have your morning coffee, and hopefully Alex Pop scores a couple goals.
So what did you give her at last episode?
Yeah, we gave her at 16 to 1, and she scored 2 goals in the first game against Morocco. I believe that's who they're playing. So really good start. We have 2 more group stage games, and then after the group stage, you go to the knockout round. So another thing I want to point out too is Germany. They even if they don't make the finals, they're in the third place game. Like those goals still count too. Mm-hmm. So really, as long as we get them to the semifinals, we should be in really good shape.
So they just have to win on Sunday.
No. That's still the group stage.
Oh, okay.
So they need to win a few more games. Yeah.
Right, naturally.
Soccer talk to. Yeah. Speaking of soccer, we got Team USA. They played yesterday. They drew the Netherlands 1-1. I feel like USA was pretty dominant in the second half. They just couldn't get that second goal in, but it's all good. They should still get first or second in the group. I guess it's going to come down to the goal differential as long as USA and Netherlands both win their next game. And the USA's next game is Tuesday, August 1st at 3 a.m. Eastern. So I assume a lot of people will be missing that, but just check your phones in the morning and see how that's going. That pretty much rounds out kind of what we wanted to update from last week, and kind of how I want this podcast to go is anything notable from our previous podcast. We'll give a brief update at the beginning, spend the first 5 minutes doing that. And then we'll get into kind of the meat of our sports betting topics. And what I want to introduce now is the BET GPT 6-pack. So every episode, myself and Austin will collab. We'll give our best 6 plays for the upcoming, day, weekend, whatever's coming up. So we have our 6-pack of plays here. I provided 4 of them. Austin rounded out the list with the last two. So we're going to run through them here. So if you ever want to just, if you don't have a lot of time, you can just hop into the podcast, fast forward a couple minutes into it, get your 6 plays, log into your account, place the bets. And then you can always come back to hear about, our baseball, basketball, football analysis later, because it's not too, so you're not like super pressed on time and whatnot.
Right.
So, okay. So let's get into it here. The first play on our first Bet GPT 6-pack, I want to look at the AL Rookie of the Year. So I got FanDuel pulled up here. We got Yoshida for the Red Sox. He's the leader at plus 160. Josh Jung is plus 230 for the Rangers. And then here's my pick, Gunnar Henderson plus 230 for the Orioles. If you look at how Gunnar played last week, I think it was the weekend series against the Rays, he's like a human highlight reel. I saw this video on Twitter, which I'll retweet on our account, the Bet GPT account, where he basically had like a season's worth of highlights over like one weekend series. And it's like, if you're doing stuff like that, you compile a couple more good series, like you're going to propel yourself to the top. And also everyone loves the Orioles. They just took the lead in the division.
They're a fan favorite. Everybody wants to ride that wave right now. And also, I just wanted to add, I'm glad that you said this, because I actually took Gunnar Henderson at plus 240 on March 3rd, Hank's birthday. But so he's basically the same odds as what he was before the season. Yoshida's just having a better year than I think people anticipated. Same with Josh Jung, but I would ride with Gunnar Henderson as well.
Yeah, and Yoshida, I was about to make a point how like the Red Sox aren't in first in their division. Maybe he won't get the benefit of the doubt, but the Red Sox are 55 and 47.
Yeah.
That division's super tough. The Yankees are in last place now. They're still 6 games above 500.
The Red Sox are like a game back of the last wild card spot, so they still are totally in it. The thing that I like about Gunnar Henderson also, he's kind of, and I compare him to like Corbin Carroll's obviously a better player, but they're similar in this aspect, is that they're both they're like the purebred, like elite prospects, like guys that have all the talent. We've known they've had all the talent in the world since they were like 15, 16 years old. So, he's not just like a flash in the pan guy. Like these journalists and everything that are going to do the voting, they've been following this guy for forever. They want the story that they can talk about.
Yeah. And he's been the preseason favorite, for the past, going back 7 months ago before the season started. So yeah, good point there. So yeah, first play, Gunnar Henderson plus 230 AL Rookie of the Year. So keep your eye on that one. And also, you don't necessarily have to bet that right now too. If you think that, Yoshida's really hot right now, you want to let him kind of play it out and let his price maybe dip down a little bit. You could get Gunnar Henderson at plus 300 a week from now.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a lot of season left. How many games are left?
Over
like
60,
50?
about 60.
Yeah.
We're at like the 100. We're at like the 100 game mark roughly.
Yeah. So plenty of time left. Yeah. Okay. So now I have a few plays regarding some fighting sports. The first one, we got the boxing welterweight title, Errol Spence Jr. versus Terrence Crawford. So admittedly, I'm not a huge boxing fan. I'm more of a fan of UFC and other MMA. But I figured we'd break down this fight. It's Saturday night. It's on Showtime pay-per-view. So for the low cost of $89.99, you can watch this boxing fight. But hey, if you win some money betting on this, you could just treat it as
an investment.
It's free. Yeah. So, breaking this down here, Spence is 28-0 with 22 knockouts. Crawford's 39-0 with 30 knockouts. These guys have never lost their professional careers. They've lost as amateurs, but that was like well over 15 years ago for Crawford, and Spence lost like 12 years ago as an amateur. So obviously, no big deal. But yeah, something's got to give here. Crawford is minus 146. So that's what I'm giving out here as the second play. Terrence Crawford minus 146. I just think he's too fast and too strong, and that's going to propel him to the victory. I think Spence is maybe the smarter guy within the boxing ring. His fighting IQ could give him a huge advantage. but I feel like that can only take you so far. I'd rather have the guy with the power and the quickness. Um, and it's just so tough because neither of these guys have even been knocked down in a fight, which is hard to believe. I don't know if they're like fighting a bunch of cupcakes, but I guess we're about to find out because this is the cream of the crop right here. So we'll go Terrence Crawford minus 146 as the second play. Okay, so we'll shift over to UFC. We have Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje as the main event,
Isn't
and
this a
Jan Blachowicz.
rematch?
This is their second fight.
Okay.
So that's the main event, and the co-main event is Jan Blachowicz versus Alex Pereira. So I have a play on both of these. Looking at the main event, like you said, this is a rematch of a fight back in 2018. I mean, it's hard for me to even put that in the handicap at all. It was 5 years ago. These guys have refined their skills by so much. I mean, you look at Poirier, he lost to Conor McGregor like 5 years ago, and then he wiped the floor with him twice.
Yeah.
So, age definitely matters, but these guys probably are both in their prime right now. Poirier's minus 160. I know that's a lot to lay, but he's the better fighter. I'm going to take Poirier. I think he ultimately wins as a knockout. So if you want a little more extravagant bet, you could bet that at higher plus money, but I personally wouldn't risk it. I would just take Poirier at minus 160 and call it good there. And then going to the co-main, Jan Blachowicz against Alex Pereira. I'm taking the over 2.5 rounds at plus 144. That's available on FanDuel. Blachowicz is 40 years old already. He's on the back end of his career, and this is kind of his last chance to get up to a title fight, and obviously hold the title and maybe defend it a couple times. You only have so much time. The shelf life for these guys, once you get your upper 30s, early 40s, like that's it. So I think he's just going to be really smart. He's going to choose his spots. That's going to eat up some time. And I also think, similar to the Adesanya fight, there's going to be a lot of time where these guys are down on the ground wrestling and kind of trying to maintain some power over the other person. So I'm going to say that because of these things that we're going over 2.5 rounds. So over 2.5, kind of how that is. If you've never bet that in the UFC, each UFC round is 5 minutes. So once you get to that 2:30 mark of the round, once you get to 2:29, that's when you're over like the halfway point of that round. So, yeah. Also, I just love betting UFC because like one punch could go your way or against you, and like it could be over in a second. Yeah. So, would definitely recommend at least tuning into the UFC fights if you don't normally do that.
And that's in Salt Lake City this weekend.
Salt Lake City, yeah. So
shout out
the elevation there. Shout out who?
Tristan.
Yeah,
he just moved there.
We got buddies and listeners all across the country. So
speaking of listeners, we listen to the feedback we get from you guys. We had a request to start giving some baseball plays. It is hard on just like a daily basis to find, a line you really love for baseball. It's just, we're in the dog days of the summer. I do have two that I want to call out for our final two. The first one we'll go with is the Angels money line tomorrow. So that's Friday the 28th. I think that's a night game. The Angels are facing the Blue Jays. Gossman's on the mound, but for the Angels, they just made a trade for Lucas Giolito. He is going to start tomorrow. I kind of like that approach. That's like a Joe Madden special. When you trade for a guy, the very first thing you do, or even if you call a guy from the minor leagues, you throw him out there right away. Don't let them think about it or get anxious or try to like impress people. They like get off the plane and they go pitch, they go hit. And I think usually you can get some good beginner's luck that way. The Angels are pretty big dogs. It's on the road, but I feel like that's one of those things. It's going to go either really, really well or really, really bad. But I think it's just worth the risk. It's plus 188. The second one, did you have something you wanted to chime in there?
Yeah, I just want to talk about the Giolito trade for a second. So the Angels are like totally in buy mode. They're keeping Ohtani.
Yeah.
The White Sox received Edgar Quero, catcher, and left-handed pitcher Kai Bush.
That's their second and third ranked prospects. They're not top 100 prospects, but they're like just outside the top 100.
I was just going to say, just because they're top prospects for an organization doesn't actually mean they're good. Because this is the Angels we're talking about.
When I looked at their grades, they're solid. They're not like if they're not like being the number 2 prospect in one system doesn't mean you're the number 2 player in another system. Like they're all different. They're all at different points. Angels system just isn't very good. So they probably fall in like the 5 to 10 range for a good system.
If this doesn't pay off for the Angels, which I mean, we don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
How bad is this team going to be when Ohtani leaves? Like for the next 10 years, by 2030, how many times are they going to make the playoffs?
0. Dude, Trout's on the back 9. Like you have Rendon is already washed. I mean, what are you going to do? You have Zach Neto. That's it.
Shout out Campbell baseball.
Yeah.
But yeah,
go Campbell.
Zach Neto, he's good, but
they have one top 100 prospect. On average, teams are going to have, just mathematically speaking, around 3. Like the Dodgers have 8. Like that's not normal. But having one, I don't think there's anybody that has less than like 2 besides them and maybe the White Sox. Like their system sucks. And of course, those are the 2 teams that made the trade, 2 dumb teams. But in this case, the White Sox did pretty well. I mean, Giolito's not great. He gets lit up like once a month at least. So, I mean, I probably shouldn't say that after I just told people to bet on him tomorrow. But that's just the truth. Is like whenever guys get like a change of scenery, you just kind of hope it clicks, and you're hoping the Blue Jays haven't faced him a lot because. I mean, he's new. He's not in their he's not coming from their division, so that's always an advantage as well.
Yeah, definitely. So it looks like you have one more play, and that's for tonight, which is Thursday the 27th. So what we're gonna do here is we're as soon as we release this pod, once it gets uploaded, we will tweet the plays out as well.
Yep.
So our podcast knows. So. Obviously you can come check out the plays, and then for the analysis and the reasoning, that's why you're listening to the pod. So, but yeah, continue.
I have the Cubs at even money tonight against the Cardinals. The Cubs are the better team. The only reason it's even money is because it's on the road. The Cubs have their best pitcher on the mound too, in Justin Steele. I was pretty surprised when I saw the line. I am obviously a little biased towards the Cubs. Take that for what it's worth, but Justin Steele is 6th place in the Cy Young, or he has the 6th best odds for the Cy Young right now. He faced the Cardinals last week, and he went to the 7th inning. He gave up 2 runs. If it weren't for the fact he missed 2 starts a couple months back, I think he would probably be in the top 3 for the Cy Young. You can get him right now at plus 1,800. That's before tonight's start. I mean, if he balls out tonight, he could make a pretty significant jump. His stats are all there. It was really just the missing time that was holding him back. The Cubs have won 5 straight. And I think more importantly, and this is my main reason for this pick, is the Cubs are desperate. They are on the definition of the fence to buy or to sell, meaning for the trade deadline on August 1st. If they go 2-2 in this series, if they go 1-3 in this series, they're probably selling. They're probably tanking on the season. If they win 3, they're probably buying, and they're trying to bring in some players and make a run. Those guys, they don't want to obviously give up on the season. They have something to play for. The Cardinals season's done. Half these dudes are going to be on a new team at the end of the week. They're just trying to run out the clock. They've already traded a couple relievers. I just don't think that they really care. It is a rivalry. It is at home. They're still going to have a great lineup, but I just don't know how you can take the Cardinals on the other end of that at, laying the odds like that. That's just
yeah. And it is, I know it is a home game, but those Cardinals fans don't even show up
You
anymore.
want the two
So
biggest fake sellout streaks or attendance streaks. It's the St. Louis Cardinals. Just check your ESPN app every night, and you'll see 40,000 attendance. And then you turn on the TV, and Big Mac land in left field is empty. So yeah, you're right. There's not really a home crowd advantage other than it's going to be hot and humid, and maybe some slurs being said from the crowd. I don't know, but you the
St. Louis, you never know.
just
You
St.
never know what
Louis.
you're going to get
People
there.
forget
Yeah.
I got some a Cardinals fan trying to spit on me at a Royals game for no reason. But um
Yeah. So that rounds out
okay,
our
no,
Bet
the other
GPT
team with the
pack.
fake attendance streak. How could I forget
Yes.
Nebraska
Yes.
football? Whenever they get close
Yeah.
to just like not selling out tickets, they just go like, hey, local company, we'll give you all of these extra tickets for like $1 each. So now we sold them all. It's a joke. The place is clearly not sold. I can sell tickets for 50 cents and act like it's sold out. That doesn't mean anything. There's got to be butts in the seats, and they got to be actual prices for me to care.
Speaking of Nebraska football, you know how they do they release the red balloons after the first touchdown? I really want to know what 2023 is going to look like because there was a helium shortage in 2022 and they didn't let Nebraska, they didn't let the fans have the balloons, which I really miss it because there's always one Nebraska game where they like literally just do not score and they have to hold it for half an hour. I think they release it at the end of the first quarter, no matter what.
Yeah, they had to do it after the first time, I think.
Yeah, so I would just love nothing more than Matt Rule in Nebraska having to literally wait 40 minutes.
I think
for the
that was like
quarter to end.
that was like Ohio State like 2-3 years ago. Like they came in, they were like preseason ranked, and Ohio State came in and just beat them like 58-0 at home, and the whole crowd is in there holding balloons. If you're wondering why it's a little lonely on the pod today, so there's a little emptiness, you're feeling a little emptiness as a listener. We don't have Hack manning the desk. We're gonna get into college football.
We have to do all,
but
we have to do all our own research.
Yeah,
he is. Yeah, like you said, the college football podcast. We're gonna get super into detail with all the conferences, Heisman plays, who's gonna make the playoff and whatnot, over under records. That'll be, I think, next weekend. So we're probably looking at the weekend of August 5th and 6th, somewhere along that time. It might be a really long podcast.
It might be,
we're probably going to go well over an hour.
It might be a part 1 and a part 2 BS style.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we're really looking forward to that. So he's grinding. He's got his multiple monitors up. He's got his Excel sheet.
He is traveling for this. He's on the road. He's on the road show.
Boots on the ground, going to media days and whatnot. So yeah, he's ready to go.
He's already got some thoughts on Colorado joining the Big 12. Yes, or I think it's official this morning. I don't think most people actually care about Colorado. I think it's more just like what it means for the rest of the sport, the rest of the league. Because if Colorado's gone, the Pac-12's at like 11 or something teams now, and the Big 12's at like 13. There's clearly something else. There's another shoe to drop. There's already been rumors about the Arizona schools, Utah possibly joining. Just geographically, that makes a lot of sense. But I have some hot takes on conference realignment. I'm going to save those for that pod as well. I'll just hint that I think the Big 10 is going to get to 20 teams. And so that's what, 4 more teams. And I have a good gut feeling of who those 4 are going to be.
Okay, that's something to look forward to. Going back to Colorado, are they the most hyped team ever with the over/under of 3.5 wins?
Yes.
Like,
the sad part is I want to crap on the hype, but I'm going to tune in and watch it out of curiosity. I'm going to want to see what the heck's going on over there with Dion, and his son's the starting quarterback. They have all these like X5 stars and these high recruits. They have like probably 5 or 6 guys that are like potential like high first, second round picks, but the rest they just have no depth and no line. So it's gonna be interesting.
I think what makes this podcast great is I literally couldn't care less about that. So I'll let you watch that and give the breakdown. But then there's me, and I'm breaking down the boxing super fight and the Women's World Cup. So
Yeah.
we have all our bases covered amongst the two
I
of
love
us.
talking conference realignment. I love the business side of it when people are like, why is the Big Ten adding Rutgers? It's like, because New Jersey and New York markets. The same reason that Colorado leaving the Pac-12 is a big deal is because they got Denver, and they're the only P5 school in that state. It matters. It doesn't matter necessarily in the next year or anything like that. It's more of a looking at the future of college football and potential super conferences.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, so that was just a brief look into college football. But yeah, let me just recap our 6-pack here. We got Gunnar Henderson plus 230 to win AL Rookie of the Year. For the boxing match, we have Terrence Crawford minus 146. A couple of UFC plays, Dustin Poirier minus 160 over Gaethje. We have Blachowicz against Alex Pereira over 2.5 rounds plus 144. And then a baseball play tonight, Cubs plus 100, so even money. And the Angels tomorrow, July 28th, plus 188 against the Blue Jays. So those are the 6. Make sure to get them in. And we will, next episode, we'll recap all these. Hopefully have some good news for you. Can't, obviously we're not always going to go 6-0, but if we can pile up a bunch of 4 and 2s, 5 and 1s over time, we can make you guys some money. So that's what we plan on doing. But so that's our 6-pack. Now we'll kind of get into one of our, I guess, prepared bits here. Slade has been pretty passionate about just the Cubs, the deadline and everything, but he also spends a lot of time internally debating who is going to be in the Hall of Fame.
I love a debate.
And who is not going to be in the Hall of Fame. So I'll leave the floor to you, man. Where do you want to go with this?
So last weekend it was like the Hall of Fame weekend in Cooperstown. So you had Scott Rowland and Fred McGriff both get inducted. Both guys that I'd wanted to see get in, and I think they probably should have been in earlier. And so all of social media, at least with the accounts I follow, because I follow a lot of baseball accounts, it was like bad social media takes on like which players today, like which active players are current Hall of Famers, or like if they retire today, would they be in the Hall of Fame type of thing. And I think people forget like how hard it is to make the Hall of Fame, and like how, like, one, there's a 10-year service time requirement as like a bare minimum. So like that's different than other sports. I mean, playing for 10 years is all like, that's why like Shohei Ohtani is not even eligible, folks. Like just stuff like that. Just guys in baseball fall off. I think that's the big difference between other sports, is the variability on a season to season basis. There's a lot of guys who were like on the finish line on the home stretch and they just couldn't get the job done. Just in like recent memory, like Evan Longoria, Tim Lincecum was like the best player on planet Earth for a minute there. Madison Bumgarner, Chris Bryant, Hanley Ramirez, like all these guys, if you look at like their stats through age 30, it was like we would have been talking about them the same way we're talking about like an Acuna or a Soto, those type of names, you know what I mean? And I just think people kind of compare it to like the basketball Hall of Fame or the football Hall of Fame, where it's like it's not easier, it's obviously different, but like just the counting stats, the longevity, the peaks and things have to be a little different. Like basketball includes your college career. It can include what you do in the Olympics. Like baseball doesn't take any of that into consideration. They barely even look at your playoff stats. Maybe a little bit, but it's like kind of more of a deal breaker than a reasoning. So I kind of came up with tiers, and I'm sure you're going to disagree with me on some of these. So I have active locks. I have 5 players that I think today, if they retire today, they are 100% getting in, and there's nothing people can really argue about it. It's Kershaw, It's Scherzer, Verlander, Trout, and Miguel Cabrera. I don't.
I'm okay with.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah, I'm
anybody
okay.
can have a problem with that. Most of them could have gotten in years ago if they retired. And then I have two guys that I think are almost a lock. They're a lock to get in, but I don't consider them like, the quote unquote inner circle Hall of Famers. There's 270 former players in the Hall of Fame. The average fan doesn't care about most of them. Like, there's just some names every fan knows: the Griffeys, the Mays, Babe Ruth, Randy Johnson, Pedro, Pujols, Ted Williams. Like those names are like the quote unquote inner circle. Two guys that are going to get in if they retire today, but they're not in that caliber. It's Zach Greinke and it's Joey Votto.
You're going to get me with the Joey Votto.
I
I
was
still just
waiting.
don't buy it. He's a good player. It's hard. I don't know.
He's got the
like
peak. He's got the MVP. He's
He's got
played
a
for
career
17 years. He's got 350 home runs. He led the league in on base 7 times. I don't know how many players that have a slash line of like 300, 400, 500 with with over 2,000 games played are not going to get in. And this is something that I hate even bringing up because it triggers me with like the Yadi Molina stuff. He's so well liked in the media. And I think people forget that the media votes for this unless you're getting like a veterans committee ballot. Like, being liked matters. Like, Kurt Schilling is a Hall of Fame talent who's not going to get in because everyone hates him. It matters. Greinke's got the Cy Young. He's pitched for forever. He's 1-11 this year, so he probably would have been better off retiring a year ago, honestly. But he's in. I don't know if those guys are like going to be first ballot, second. I don't really understand how some of that, theatrics works. And then I have 3 guys that I personally would argue for are in if they retire today. I think this would probably be where some people push back. I have Mookie Betts.
Let's you do these one at a time, and I'll just tell you yes or no. And if it's no, then you have to like state your case.
Okay.
And see if you can make me change my mind.
Mookie Betts.
Yeah, he's in.
Paul Goldschmidt.
I'd have to. I mean, do you have any numbers available on him?
He has
he's a good player, but
333 home runs. Almost.
Okay, all right. Time out. You keep telling me like Joey Votto's 350. He is 330. Isn't 500 like a really really good number? Obviously, that's so hard to get, and only a few people have.
I think the difference is these.
Do we care about 330 home runs? Is that good?
I think 300 is like the minimum. Like, a first baseman is not getting in the Hall of Fame with under 300 home runs. So I think it's good enough, but it's not like we're not just going to put anybody in who's got 350. But I think the difference is with these guys that I'm talking about, Votto, Goldschmidt, and the other player, Freddie Freeman, that I have in this category, all of them are on base machines. All of them have gold gloves. Like, they are well-rounded. I bet you didn't even know that Paul Goldschmidt had a year he stole 32 bases.
Actually, I did know that
because
he was on Immaculate Grid a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But Freddie Freeman, you know what? To kind of stray from this topic for a second, I might bet him to win MVP.
Yes, I was going to say that too. Plus 550. Yeah. Acuna is the favorite. I was literally about to bring that up. I think that is a long odds play that you can get and actually have a chance. I think the odds are going to come down soon. So, like, if you want to bet, you probably got to bet it now. Especially with the Dodgers, it seems like they're going to win that division.
So this was as of 2 days ago. They had identical batting averages. Freeman had a slight nod in OBP slugging and OPS. Their WARs, according to Fangraphs, Acuna's at 5.1, Freeman's at 4.9. So pretty much identical. Acuna has 2 more hits, a couple more home runs, the same amount of walks, same amount of bases. Like, they're right there, but the Braves are just a super dominant team.
They're cooling off a little bit. That's
yeah. But I just feel like the Dodgers, if they keep winning, if they can get 10 or 15 games above 500 at the end of the year, win 100 games or something close to it. Yeah, they have a pretty good chance.
Yep, Freddie Freeman's case, I think, would surprise a lot of people. He's a career 300 hitter. His OBP is almost 390. He's almost getting better with age. So I know I said like as of today, and I think he'd get in as of today, but if you project him out longevity wise, I think he's even going to get, his case is going to be, all three of these guys I think are going to get in because I think they're going to keep playing and keep putting up stats and keep accumulating accolades. So it's not going to be a debate when the time comes. It's like if they got injured today and can never play again type of thing. Freddie Freeman. Also, the other thing with these guys is a lot of them lost half a year with the COVID season. They lost 100 games. So that's going to impact some of their career stats. But Freddie Freeman has finished top 10 in the MVP 7 times. He has an MVP. Wow. He's finished first, fourth twice, fifth, eighth, and ninth. He's got silver sluggers. He's got gold gloves. He's got a championship ring as the most valuable player on that team. Acuna was hurt during that playoff run. Like, he brought Atlanta a World Series. That roster they got hot.
And then he left, went to the Dodgers, and then on his return cried because he didn't end up wanting to leave. I don't even know how that happens. You fire your agent because you don't like how negotiations went, but you still had to sign the contract. It's not like the agent signed it for you.
Yeah, I think he was under the impression that like the Braves actually didn't want him that badly. That the agent made him think that, but I don't. Dude, he got paid. Who cares? He's in LA. Like, he's from California, I think. And then I have a category of on the fence. You could talk me into it. I think that all these guys are going to get in with a couple more years of time. But if they retire today, I would lean no, but I could be talked into it. Arenado, Altuve, and I'm going to get to the whole cheating scandal here in a bit.
Did you know Altuve was an all-star in the NL?
Oh, because they switched leagues. Yeah. I didn't know that, but I do know what you're talking about. Manny Machado, I think he's a lot closer than people realize. He's only 30. Okay. And then the last one is Kenley Jansen. I think he's had the peaks. The relievers are just so weird that it's hard to say. And then I have a couple more categories. This one's pretty boring. With due time, I think these are guys that are on pace. They've hit the peaks. At this point, they just got to run out the clock and hit their totals. This is like the only sport that cares about accumulating certain statistics. You got to hit certain stats or you're not going to get in, no matter how great you were for a few years. Harper and Ohtani, both guys are going to get in as long as they play a few more years. I have a list of complicated guys. This is probably where most of the debate is going to be. Correa and Bregman. They're both on pace, I guess you could say. It's hard. They're both. If they played at the same pace they're playing now, they would get in, but that's not realistic to expect the back nine to be as good as the first nine. Correa has a better
no. If Correa keeps playing like he does now, he's going to end up in AAA.
I say he's not that good this year, but he had like a 40 WAR by age 29. There's very few players in the history of the game who've done that and had 2 rings in that time.
He's sitting at 40.6 WAR while like Freeman's at 60 and Votto's at 60.
Like Bryce Harper's at 43 and Correa's at 40 and younger and has the rings, he was one of the best playoff performers. He just has that scandal and I don't know what's up with his knee. So that's an interesting one. Bregman's kind of that same camp, but to a lesser degree. Craig Kimbrell, he's 7th all time in saves. He's won a ring, but he was basically benched during that playoff run. And he's been so bad the last few years that I think it kind of messes with people's memory of how good he was for an 8-year stretch. The the other one that I think is kind of interesting is Stanton. I think you already told me before you don't think he is, but he's 122 homers short of 500, and he's like 33. Like he has a legit chance to hit 500 despite COVID. That's when it would get interesting. He has an MVP, but he really hasn't been that good for like 5 years. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think the 500 is going to be hard to get. I think he's about to fall off a cliff.
Actually, I think he only has like 109. I think he's at like 391.
Yeah, I can fact check you, but
and then going forward, Yelich, he was on such a good pace and he's fallen off. He would obviously have he's riding the ship this year, but it would need to be 2018-19 levels for at least a couple more seasons. DeGrom, I don't know what to do with DeGrom because he's one of the best pitchers we've ever seen. Sandy Koufax got in, and he was a little similar to that.
You have to reward someone for being just the most utterly dominant pitcher for a few year stretch. It wasn't just 1 year; it was a few years.
What about Chris Sale?
He was unhittable. No.
Chris Sale has.
I can't do Chris Sale.
Chris Sale, I think his numbers are a lot better than people think. He has a career 3 ERA. He had 7 consecutive seasons of top 5 Cy Young finishes. But I get what you're saying. He never had the Cy Young. He never actually won the Cy Young, but he was in the top 5 7 years straight. And his strikeout numbers are the highest of all time. His strikeout per 9 is the highest we've ever seen. He won a World Series, but after that year, he fell off. I mean, he was a workhorse in those 7 years. He threw 214 innings in 2017, 226 in 2016. That's like 2 seasons for some of these guys today. So,
yeah,
I mean, he's got a 46.4 WAR, so he's got a higher WAR than like Bryce Harper, I think we already said, and like some of these guys that other people would be like, oh yeah, they're definitely getting in. So he's only 34, but I think the best is behind him, so I don't really know if he has any chance in hell to catch up. That was it for that category. Oh, Aaron Judge, that's the other one. He debuted at like 24, 25. That's almost makes it statistically impossible to debut that late. And then to miss the time that he missed, COVID, missing time right now. He's had 2 seasons that are 2 of like the best seasons we've ever seen. His counting stats are just not close.
According to you, all he needs is 330 home runs. 330 is the new 500. So
if he can do some other things with that, if he can hit for 300 and 400 on base and have all these Gold Gloves, and then I have just like a list of some of the best bets, but they're so far away. They have a lot of work to do. Lindor, he was on a good pace. He has like a 40 WAR right now. He's been, according to like the analytics, he's been almost as valuable for his career as Bryce Harper at a younger age. I think there's obviously like Trey Turner, Jose Ramirez, I think has a good chance. He just has to keep playing. Corey Seager has a chance. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I think he's a guy who could hit 500 homers. But Soto and Acuna, there's really not that many young pitchers that have a chance right now.
All these contracts that these guys are signing that are like 10 years, 300 plus million, that lead them into like their age 39 season. Whichever guys that are actually good, ages like 35 through like 38, 39, those guys will make the Hall of Fame. Yeah. I just don't know if that they can be productive.
There's not that many young pitchers right now that are at a good pace. Like if you look at the guys who we're talking about now, it's like Kershaw debuted at 20. You know what I mean? Like Verlander and Scherzer was a little bit of a late bloomer, but like these guys debuted early and were just absolutely going crazy. And we don't have guys like that right now. Like these guys who
Spencer Strider turns 25 in 2 months.
Yeah.
And it's only his second year.
Yeah, he debuted at 24. by that point, Kershaw probably had like a Cy Young and 100 career wins.
Did you know Spencer Strider was drafted by the Guardians in the 35th round of the 2017 draft? Didn't sign, and then got drafted by the Braves in the 4th round of the 2020 draft.
Where did he go to school?
Pretty crazy. Clemson.
Go Tigers.
Speaking of, you mentioned Kimbrel. What is a closer have to do to get some credit around here nowadays? Like, they're just dominant for 2 or 3 years, and then it's like, all right, thanks. You're somehow not good anymore a couple years later. Like, Felix Bautista right now for the Orioles is having obviously basically as good of a year as you could have. He's 9-1 with a 1.65 ERA. He's got 43 saves already with over 60 games left in the year. So he could be touching.
You want to know something funny about that
saves.
guy? That guy was in single A year ago at this time.
That's insane.
Yeah, he's just a freak.
So would you look at him? Would you consider him for Cy Young? He's sitting there at 65-1. Does he even have a slim chance? I mean, Diaz didn't win it last year for the Mets.
Probably not.
Do you think the 65-1 is a fair price? Or should it be lower?
I think it's probably a fair price. It's not even like what I think. It's like I just know how voters think. And
yeah, anything
they're gonna say he threw 50 innings. Like,
yeah, the human element of this, you're always betting on what will these humans think.
That's what I'm always like with all of like the Hall of Fame, these awards. There's a human element to it. There's a recency bias to it. You need the guy that finishes strong to the season. Rarely does a guy finish the year on the IL and win an MVP or a Cy Young. There's the NL Cy Young race is really interesting. The AL Cy Young race seems like Garrett Cole's starting to pull away a little bit. I think he pitches tomorrow.
Yeah, I still think it's too early to tell. Garrett Cole's at plus 135, but I wouldn't make that bet.
No.
I mean, I think Eovaldi at plus 600 is not bad. And then in the NL, we got Gallen plus 240, Strider plus 290.
I don't believe
it's
in
hard
Blake
for me
Snell.
to pick.
Yeah, I don't believe in Blake Snell.
I
honestly like Steele, but I'm going to come off like a homer, so I'm not going to give that play. But I like it personally. And I would not do Marcus Stroman. No. I would not bet Marcus Stroman. That guy he is out of whack.
He went from I think he was plus 600 a few weeks ago. He's at 35-1 now. What about Kershaw at 20-1? He's coming back from injury.
Is he going to be on a pitch restriction limit?
Probably for a little bit, but
that makes it a little tougher.
I don't know.
I don't know anything about Jesus Luzardo, so I'm not going to say anything about him.
We'll keep monitoring this every couple weeks. We got a couple months left in the season, so plenty of time to, with markets like this, you can always catch a couple guys at really high plus money. You don't have to get, just because you got a guy 20-1 doesn't mean that he's going to win. If he, gets down to a pick'em scenario with two guys, just take the other guy and secure your profits. Sports betting, I think a lot of people just try to get rich. Just pick and choose your spots where you want to make some profit. It's going to build up over time.
People forget we took Joel Embiid around Christmas. Worked out pretty well.
Yeah. Joel Embiid, 16-1. I was sitting at a Culver's in Dubuque, Iowa. And I was like, I'm betting Joel Embiid MVP.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was at O'Hare.
Bet GPT all across the nation. Okay, so yeah, that's the Hall of Fame talk. Did you have any other players you want to bring up, or did you cover everyone on the list?
That'll probably be it for the next calendar year until we come around to the Hall of Fame talk next year.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll archive this. We'll use the tier creator website, and we'll have Slade put that together. We'll post it on the Twitter timeline for you guys all to see. So we'll just it's fun to make these predictions because we can keep tabs on it, and if I'm totally wrong, obviously you can give me crap about it, but if I'm right, like you'll never be hearing the end of it. So yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much it with this podcast. Look for some big NFL and college football episodes coming up. We're super excited. We do have guests lined up. I know we've been promising guests to you viewers and listeners. We have them lined up. It's happening, but you guys got to get to know us first. All right. You got to see how we work together. You got to listen to what we have to say. And then
you guys got to get sick of us first. And then we'll start bringing in other people to, keep you off of us. We listen to the feedback. We're going to ignore a lot of it.
Is good feedback.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
We're going to do what we want, but we appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So yeah, once again, this is Matt Coiner. I'm on Twitter at MattCoiner23. We got Austin Slade at Honcho, Mike. I'm wondering, are you going to keep the anonymous Twitter, or are you going to come back to the real world?
I'm keeping it.
Okay.
Maybe I'll make a burner for my burner. I don't know.
There you go. We got BET GPT Podcast on Twitter. That's our Gmail as well. We're on Apple and Spotify. Please tell your friends. And if you could take a second and give us a 5-star review, it really helps pump the numbies up. And we can really keep moving up higher on the sports podcast chart so we can get a bigger audience. So yeah, we really appreciate the support, and we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks.